Welcome everyone, Costin here on Serious Gaming with a video about Hairworks Witcher-free Wild Hunt hair and fur. How they look, how they perform, what could be done to improve them, and also talking about AMD versus Nvidia and, well, hair and fur in games in general. If anyone can link this video on the official Witcher boards, I would be quite grateful, as I'm unable to do that at the moment. Anyway, let's talk about it. Performance. I have between 60 to 80 FPS with the game running with everything on Ultra. These are my settings. If I go in graphics, you can see everything is enabled. This is with patch 1.5. They did improve performance by a bit with it, stability, all that. At least that's what they state in their patch notes, right? Hairworks disabled. So with Hairworks disabled, this is what I get. And I have motion blur, bloom, depth of field, chromatic aberration off, because I just don't like any of these effects. Any of them, I absolutely hate all of them. Sharpening as well. I do have HBO Plus, which it does cause reduction in performance in the game. And this is how the hair looks. I'm gonna lick the wall here. Oddly enough, there's wind in this cabin for some bloody reason, despite the fact that all the windows, and there are windows, all the windows are closed. There's 4 windows, they're all closed, and yet there is wind here. For some goddamn reason, there is wind. And the hair seems simulated, but it looks too shiny, and it seems that they're simulating clumps of hair. Some small, some big, but that's how it is. And that's for every character in the game, and it also seems to be the case with the hair of animals. Also, the beard on Geralt's face, well, that's quite static. But performance 70 FPS in this scene, right? Can go up to 80 in certain scenes, depends on the distance, depends on where I am at. And I enable Hairworks on Geralt. Just Geralt, no one else, nothing else. You can notice that each individual strand of hair, clipping issues on my armor notwithstanding, each strand of hair is simulated. Also, the beard is simulated. Maybe difficult to notice, but the beard is also simulated. The wind is blowing the hairs on the beard as well, and makes it look considerably better. Darker, grayer, if you notice it, the color is grayer, but looks considerably better. But the performance impact, well, it's pretty damned big, isn't it, right? Like I look here, it's about 20 FPS, 24, 20 something. It can be more. Generally, I've noticed an FPS drop anywhere between 10 to 30 FPS. Depends on the scene, depends on where you're at, depends on how close the camera is to the hair. I find it odd that the performance goes down by a significant amount if the camera is close to Geralt's face. I find that really odd. And yes, I just used Axie on that cat right there, because I like that. One impressive thing about Hairworks, about Geralt's hair from Nvidia, is if you get it wet, and I'm gonna get it soaking wet, gonna go through the water, right, just for a bit, taking a quick dip, then I come out. There is a wet effect on armor and clothing, all that. On skin, though I think it's exaggerated on skin. It looks very, very nice when it's wet. It's a proper wet effect. The hair, unlike Tomb Raider, looks perfectly fine as it's wet. It's realistic, right? Very nice. Outside of the clipping issues, you know, that's acceptable. Though it's not acceptable on certain armors. If I disable it and the hair is still wet, this is how it looks. Barely any difference from the dry hair. Barely any difference. I'm still wet, as you can tell by the armor. And I go here, enable it again. Still wet, still looking very good. Markedly different from the dry hair. So there is a wet effect on every character's hair, but it looks quite terrible. I don't like the wet effect on skin. I'm fine with it on armor. I don't like it on skin, and I don't like it on the default hair. It just makes it look a bit shinier for some reason. And on skin, it makes it makes the skin look plastic. Also, the problem with the wet effect is that characters can get wet even if they're inside their homes. They never go out, they're still soaking wet, which is just ridiculous as far as I see it. Now, performance on the horse, on the fur, right? on animals. There can be a lot of wolves, a lot of bears, all that stuff. Well, it depends obviously how many animals you're fighting, depends on how far you are. But let's call the horse. Right now I have about 53 FPS, that's my trusted roach. I do have the black one. You get this at an important story moment if you make a specific decision. It's a very nice moment actually if you manage to get this horse. Now, here, using my Fraps FPS counter, I'm recording this with Shadowplay, which has no performance impact that I've noticed. It's 49 FPS. I have Hairworks enabled on Geralt. It's dropping, increasing, whatever. It's not stable anyway. And I enable it on the horse. Right. And performance went down to 36, 37, from about 50, 49. It's a massive frame rate loss. But I'm really looking very closely at Roach here. Actually, let me just put a trophy on Roach. The Archgriffin trophy, which has a lot of simulated hair strands as well. Trying to look very closely at it. 44, it depends, really, the distance you're at, how far the camera is, all that. Like right now it's about 30 FPS with the Griffin head, with Archgriffin head, and with the horse, right? But it depends on the camera angle, it really does depend. So for instance here, it increased back to 50. And this is how you'll see the horse in general. 50, 47, right? 54. And that's with the wind blowing, the horse hair being simulated, the Geralt's hair being simulated, the Griffin hair being simulated. Okay, I disable it on the horse. 60, 55, 56. There is a performance impact, but it's not as much as it is on Geralt's hair alone. Let me just stop here. 42, 43, and this is just with Geralt's hair. 41. I enable it. I'm not sure why exactly. It's foliage being rendered in the distance. I have it in all on ultra. 41. No impact. 40. And this is with the horse enabled. 40. I disable it. Put it on Geralt. 43. 42. Can be minimal, can be huge. It depends. Greatly depends on a scene-by-scene basis. Greatly depends on camera. You will generally never notice a big performance impact more than 2, 3, 5 FPS in dialogue scenes. Most dialogue scenes. When you have monsters and cinematics or anything like that, when you have a lot of wolves, that kind of stuff, you'll generally not notice such a big performance impact. I was really stressing it out by having the camera very close to the horse there, and also having Geralt in that scene. But that leads to another problem. If the performance impact from having multiple characters is not that high, then why don't we have hair on other characters besides Geralt? We do have plenty of fur, and we do have creatures in dialogues having fur simulated. In fact, there's 2 creatures that have simulated hair, and the performance impact when you're talking to them, and I'll just showcase this soon, is minimal. So let me load a save and let me show you the performance impact between talking to a creature. It's a godling. They're the only creatures which have with which you can talk with, besides werewolves, right? That have simulated hair. So let me load this one. This is an important story moment, but I've disabled the audio, the voice audio. You won't know what they're talking about. And I've changed the quest tracking, so you don't know where it's at. It's the only point, well, it's one of the few points where I could showcase this. So, barring the clipping issues that you'll see on Geralt's hair, mind you, it doesn't matter what armor you have, how the hair is arranged, you'll always have the same performance impact. It doesn't really matter, which is just weird, but hey, it is what it is, right? What did I want to change, actually? Well, nothing, actually. Oh, yeah, let me disable Hairworks, and let's go with it first without Hairworks on anyone but Geralt. So, there's a character here. I'm with Ciri. Geralt. Geralt's hair is simulated. So, performance. This is with Geralt, right? And it's 65, 67, 70 even. Geralt's hair is still being simulated. Performance impact is still there. 61. His hair isn't being simulated. This creature's hair isn't simulated. Geralt's hair is 57, 59, 60. Depends on the distance, as I said. It can be quite annoying. I wish there was a way this could be consistent, because it's really goddamn annoying when in dialogue you get a massive FPS hit. Even if you're able to run the game at over 60, it can be annoying because you're in one scene the game's running at 60 FPS and in the other it's at 70, 80, and you get screen tear as well because of that. Can be really goddamn annoying. So 50, 69, all right, 54, 53. Said Geralt's hair is simulated here. It doesn't matter what armor I'm wearing. Wait. Let me end this and reload, and I'll enable the hair on the creature. Lowest was about 52, 53. Okay. Right. Let me enable Hairworks. Oh, before I do that, 65, 66. Right, as it stands right now. Let me enable. Same creature, 61, 53, but camera angle changed as well. So that's something that needs to be taken into consideration because creature moved out. I tried tracking him. Right, reload. And let's go for that dialogue scene. I got 70, 69, over 60 at any rate. With Hairworks enabled. When the camera was close to Geralt's face, it was about 52 in the worst situation, right? So, Hairworks enabled on him as well. And you can see his hair is simulated. 59 on him. 58. 57. 54, 53. 52, 51. It is dropping, certainly. But I would get over 60 FPS if I had shadows at a lower quality. Seems shadows have a huge performance impact, actually. More so than having hair on the Godling, on Johnny here. 56. 53. Okay. Consistent with my previous test. 52, 57. As you can see, having more characters in the same scene, if they're distance enough, is not really a huge impact. I'm pretty sure I could actually have hair enabled on Siri here, and the impact... There would certainly be a bigger impact, absolutely, but it would be so awesome to have it on Siri as well. I think CD Projekt should focus on improving the performance and adding it to virtually every other character in the game. Would also be great to get the pre-rendered cinematics either removed and happen in real time. I wouldn't mind a loading screen. They're there to hide loading screens, but that's a terrible way to use a pre-rendered cinematic, because when you have a loading screen hidden by a pre-rendered cinematic, then what ultimately happens, 51, 52, oh yeah, 2 FPS drop between this and normal, right? Between this and not having the hair on Johnny there. The problem when you're using this in something Call of Duty Advanced Warfare also, the problem is that the cinematics stutter, the performance goes down when you're trying to hide the loading screen. I have the game on an SSD and I've noticed that. The game by default locks the cinematics at 30 FPS. Anyway, yeah, I would like to see Hairworks on other characters, and I would like to, you know, perhaps see the quality of Hairworks go down a bit, you know, tessellation level reduced maybe to 32 and see it on other characters, because it would be so awesome. The hair looks really good. It doesn't get dirty, but then again, Geralt's never in a situation where he gets dirty, he gets blood on himself or anything like that. That never happens in the game, so you know, that's fine. It's not like Tomb Raider where Lara could be soaking in blood and dirt and all that, and then her hair is perfectly clean. That never happens. You never get that situation here for 52, 55, all of that, right? Performance impact between having the hair on just Geralt and having the hair on other characters as well, animals, creatures, seems minimal if they're distance apart. If you're not just staring at if they're not basically co-joined, then it's fine. It's minimal. It is there, it does exist, but there's no reason we couldn't have it on other characters. That's my personal take on it. Finally, let's just talk about the elephant in the fucking room here, right? About Nvidia versus AMD. AMD claims that Nvidia sabotaged performance on their GPUs. Well, to AMD, I have to say you're full of crap. And you're full of crap because Hairworks uses heavy tessellation to achieve the quality of hair that it does. Maybe Nvidia could have found another way. Certainly, I believe that argument is valid, but I think the argument that they directly sabotaged you is a load of crap, a load of nonsense. AMD has lost the GPU fight. The market share Nvidia has is over 76% at this stage and growing. In terms of discrete GPUs, AMD is dead, pretty much. It's going down the drain. And for all the talk about competition like the one AMD offers is not worthwhile in any way. The only thing AMD has done recently that's worthwhile is make Mantle. But for that, I would thank DICE, who, you know, wanted to make it for Battlefield, wanted to do that, contacted various vendors, and only AMD was willing to go on board. But anyway, DICE made Mantle with AMD's help, certainly, but they did make Mantle. DICE did it. You can thank DICE for Mantle, and more importantly, you can thank DICE for having DirectX 12. It kind of backfired on Mantle's side. It's like they thought Mantle would really help them out, and then Microsoft woke up and reached out and said, you want to involve us in your little childish spat with Nvidia, we'll just go ahead and crush you. Free Windows 10, DirectX 12, working on many Nvidia GPUs, but not so many AMD ones. Really backfired there, I think. Mantle was something they probably spent a lot of resources in and didn't work out. As for hair specifically, before I get off topic too much, as for hair and fur, I do feel that Hairworks looks considerably better than TressFX. It runs better than TressFX did. And Hairworks and Fur, well, Fur was something CD Projekt had in development for the game for a long time. They had implemented it for a long time in the game based on the VGX trailer, Sword of Destiny. It was there. Hair simulation wasn't. We thought it was, but turns out it wasn't. AMD was telling the truth on one subject that CD Projekt implemented hair 2 months before the game came out. I would be really interested in seeing the performance impact if they gave us an option to disable hair on Geralt and just have fur, because it's kind of frustrating to not have it on other characters. I like the fact Geralt's beard is simulated, and that's one of the reasons I'd still have it, but I would also really like to have it on other characters. And I would like to see the performance impact on just having it on animals, on Johnny right there. What kind of performance impact is there? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people with weaker computers than mine would like to have simulated fur on animals, on Johnny, you know, all that. But they don't have the computers with which they can use hair on Geralt. So that option needs to be there. Lower anti-aliasing on the hair needs to be there. Lower tessellation level. That's something CD Projekt needs to be implemented. And as for the ultimate fight, which wins, TressFX or Hairworks? Well, Hairworks is better. But let me tell you something. Both of them are crap in comparison to the best hair solution I've seen in a video game to date. And what is that best solution? Well, there's a game that came out 4 years ago, which had the solution on Xbox 360 and PS3, ran perfectly well, 30 FPS if you count that being perfectly well. Certainly wasn't as graphically impressive overall as Tomb Raider or Witcher 3 are, but that hair was amazing. It was a mediocre, crappy game that not a lot of people care about, but it had the best game I've ever seen. It couldn't get wet, but it was the best hair in terms of simulation. In terms of performance impact, which was fucking minimal. When you can get something like that working on an Xbox 360 and PS3, it works perfectly fine, then the performance impact is bloody minimal. It worked on a CPU. All that money, all that effort, both AMD and Nvidia have invested in TressFX and Hairworks respectively, can't match up to Alice Madness Returns and the hair there. I'll link several videos in the description. I'll link you a Eurogamer article and a video where it's shown, and the Eurogamer article also contains a video, and you can see the hair. The hair is simulated on last generation consoles, Unlike all the crap we get nowadays with hair requiring these absurd computers, these absurd system requirements, that game ran perfectly fine with minimal performance impact, with the hair being perfectly simulated. It was only on one character, but we only get it on Geralt here as well. There's no reason they couldn't have had it on other characters there, but there's no other character that they really could have put it on. Right, there are no other character that really could have used it. They could have, but they chose not to. And from what I know with regards to Alice Madness Returns, bear in mind, a game that came out 4 years ago, was made on Unreal Engine free, came out on last generation consoles, made by a team of 70 people. One guy, from what a former friend of mine told me, he was a graphic artist, one guy made the hair solution there. I think this puts both AMD and Nvidia in perspective. I can't blame CD Projekt, right? Because I'm pretty sure they tried, but I can look at both AMD and Nvidia and I can say, what the fuck are you doing? Really, all the money, all the developers, all the public spats over who has the best toys, and a guy from China in Shanghai, from a Shanghai company, beats the crap out of both of you when it comes to making good hair. Bloody hell. Incompetence at its fucking finest, I'd say. Maybe you couldn't get the hair wet with their solution. Big fucking deal. I'll take the not having hair wet if I can get over 30 FPS in terms of performance with that solution. Even I will look at it and say, I get the choice of having a massive performance impact and having wet hair versus not getting wet hair but still having the awesome simulation that I like. And really, wet hair is such an irrelevance. There are certain scenes where you do get wet hair, but they're few and far between. Who gives a fuck, really? So just a note to Nvidia, AMD, and even CD Projekt, I'd say, learn to do what Alice Madness Returns did, because it puts you all to fucking shame. Costin here on Serious Gaming, signing out.